Hello, good afternoon, and welcome on in. Sorry, maybe you can hear me a bit better now. So there we go. Hello, welcome on in. It's Alan here from Compass Media, and welcome to In Conversation With. And today we have a fantastic guest. So let's get on with the show. Let's roll some credits. Yes, it's a very good afternoon to you. Welcome on in. This is Alan here from Compass Media. And as usual, we have our weekly In Conversation With, a series that brings you some fantastic guests and helps you to understand business and also get you through a Tuesday. And hopefully this is going to help and enlighten you. Today, I'm going to be joined by Colm O'Brien. And Colm is a business owner, a coach, author, and he's also a TEDx professional speaker. He's a broadcaster and podcaster, and he's also an accelerated thought leader. And he is the founder of Wigwam as well, a place that provides a haven for learning and challenging each other and recharging. And we'll be talking more about that in detail. He's also has a book called Feeding Johnny, How to Build a Business Despite the Roadblocks. So fantastic. And Colm has also wrote over 100 articles on LinkedIn, which have been viewed by over 60,000 people. So really looking forward to our chat. So without further ado, let me invite the man of the moment up onto screen. Colm, how are you today?
Hey there, Alan. Lovely to be here. Thanks for inviting me in. Nice to have the chat. Nice that we're able to.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, we are good friends at this stage. We have been hosting I suppose a weekly networking meeting with What's What.ie over on their channel as well, which is fantastic and has been growing. But we are here to talk all about yourself today, and also we're going to be speaking about, I suppose, tips and advice to transform your business. I think it's been very challenging, extremely challenging for a lot of people and a lot of business owners over the last couple of months. Over the last year, I suppose, and I think it's going to continue for a little while longer. So I suppose any advice and tips that we can help with people is always a great way. But before we do that, maybe for people who don't know you, which I find hard to believe at this stage, you might give us a little background on yourself first.
Thanks, Alan. Look, I'm a Dub. I'm a Northsider. Grew up in a very regular family back in Coolock. Tonleague Road is where I grew up. Some of your listeners might know it. And regular school life. Went to St. Bridget's in Killester, and then over to St. Paul's in Raheny or Clontarf. I can never remember quite which it is. It's top of Civil Hill there. And I remember getting to Leaving Cert year. I was talking about this recently. Did my Leaving Cert in 1980, and I remember getting to Leaving Cert year and realizing that I hadn't decided what I was going to do. My mates were talking about being accountants or engineers or whatever, and I hadn't given it any thought. So I decided I'd be a school teacher, right? But it was nothing about saving the planet or educating the next generation. It was just short hours and long holidays. That was it. But anyways, I always say the man upstairs had a different plan, and he thrust me into hospitality, into catering, which is completely the opposite in terms of long hours and short holidays. But I learned a lot. So I started in, and again, your listeners, some will remember this, the rooftop restaurant in Cleary's department store, when Cleary's department store was a thing. Got a job there as a trainee cashier, which led me to a trainee management position, and then rolled on a whole bunch of years, and I was general manager of Beauties in Grafton Street. Again, all of your listeners, I'm quite sure, would know of that place. General manager there between 91 and 95. I became franchise manager for the Beauties Cafe brand then, 95 to 98. I started the hotel chain. Bless you. The Bewley's Hotel at Newlands Cross. I'm sure you remember that. So that was my whole story behind that. So that idea came from me to Bobby Kerr. You'll all know Bobby Kerr. He was my boss at the time, and together we managed to bring that to fruition. It was a wonderfully successful venture. And then they went on to build 6 of them, 6 Bewley's hotels. And I remember they sold them for 650 million or something, some mad money, right, to somebody. And I remember getting my bonus check out of the 650 million. And do you know what it was?
Zero.
Nothing, right? And it was then, Alan, it was then that I realized, hang on a second, if I have these type of ideas, I should really be betting on myself. Because if you do, and come here, that's just the way it is. If you work for an organization and you come up with an idea that ostensibly turns into 650 million worth of value, that idea isn't yours. It's the people who paid you to have the idea. And that's okay, 100% fine. But I stepped out my own in '98, took on a Bewley's Cafe in Limerick, because it was big enough for me to have a team. I love working with teams. And it failed in 2002 officially. We didn't hear about it failing until 2003, and we didn't get out the gap to 2005. But the reason it failed in 2002 is because a rent review happened in 2002, which we fought and went to arbitration in 2003. It was backdated. And our rent, Alan, went up for a coffee shop in Limerick City, went up to €313,000 a year. It's exactly €6,000 per week. And we traded 6 days per week. So exactly €1,000 a day for the privilege of just turning the key and letting ourselves in before we paid for the electricity and bought the coffee and the rashers and paid the staff and all the stuff. So that's why I'm here.
Wow. Well, that is a wonderful backstory, if nothing else. The facts, and when you talked about Cleary's there, it brought back memories of childhoods and stuff like that. And yeah, many's a time. And then obviously Bewley's then in Grafton Street as well. Another huge. I think everyone who has ever visited Dublin has gone to Bewley's and Grafton Street along the way. But but really, and it's I suppose in a sense as well, it also gives you a foundation, as you say, for learning, because as we always say, fail fast and type of thing, and you learn from them mistakes. And I think that's so important. And I suppose to go through it at the time, I said it was probably very daunting. It was probably very upsetting and worrying and stuff like that. But I suppose coming out of that, I suppose you learned a huge amount of lessons within business, I suppose.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there's a phrase that I stumbled across over the years. Sometimes I win and sometimes I learn. Most people finish that phrase. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But in fact, professionals, Alan, professionals never lose. Professionals either win or they learn. Right? We take Munster v Leinster. Right? I'm living in the Midwest, so I'm now a Munster fan. So Munster goes out and plays a game. If they don't put enough points on the board to be deemed winners on the night, they don't suck their thumb and go home to mammy and say, I'm not playing rugby anymore. They go back to the dressing room and they go back to the training academy, and they watch the video and they see, well, you were out of place there, and you missed that kick and you whatever, right? And so if they don't win, they learn. And professionals never lose. Professionals always learn. So it wasn't a lesson I wanted. Nobody gets into business for it to fail. But as you say, we're better off failing forward. We're better off failing fast. Here's a challenge that I find. Many people get into business expecting it to succeed, and we really should expect it to succeed. But then they stop when it doesn't, if it doesn't. But, having your first business from straight out of the blocks be a roaring success is like getting a hole-in-one in golf, I assume. I've never played golf in my life. But, people go out and play golf for decades and they don't get the hole-in-one and they still go out and play. Some people start business expecting it to be the Holy Grail. And but that is like expecting it to get a hole-in-one. So I do think it's that there are lessons in failure, and question is what you do with those lessons. So we went again and we stumbled into I'm a huge networker, as you know. I love networking. I met a man on the train going to Dublin one day from Limerick. Again, some of your listeners will know they'll know the coffee kiosks there on the Liffey Boardwalk. So myself, my brother and a friend, we set those up in 2003. And I was on the train going there one day. I met a man and we swapped business cards, and that meeting led to a meeting which opened up a school lunch business opportunity to us. And delighted to say that we've been at that school lunch business for this is our 18th year now.
Wow.
And it grew from 27 lunches on day one to 30,000 lunches in a day in 2019. And of course, then the world fell apart, but hey.
Yeah, and I think I was just about to say that because like that is obviously, yeah, that had a huge impact on that. But look, I think it will come back. But I do agree. I think we do lessons. We do learn lessons. It's like people say, "Oh yeah, I always say my favorite saying is I'm an overnight success. It's just taken me 10 years to become that overnight success." And I think that is, in itself a challenge as much as anything else. But I think you have to keep getting back up. You have to say, "Okay, right, this isn't going the way I planned it." I suppose it's like everything. You start something, you expect, you have all these dreams and aspirations of what it's going to be like. And, I suppose the Del Boy of, this time next year, Rodney will be, but, it takes hard work and a lot of effort and a lot of long days and even long evenings and early nights and type of thing. But I think as well as that, though, I think it's about putting it in. And I think the I suppose personally with me, I find that when you do something and you do it well and you put your whole heart into it, when you see the benefits and see the results of it, the benefits of that and that spurs you on to keep going as much as anything else. I would say to anyone who's watching today, if you have a question for Colm, or you want to pass a comment, please do pop it in the chat, and also tell us where you are watching from, or if you're watching on the replay, just let us know that you did watch on the replay as well. So, Colm, I wanted to talk to you, I suppose, about Wigwam. I know this is a absolute fantastic business that you've sort of developed as well over the last number of years, and I'd like to learn a little bit more. I've looked at it. I've looked at the website. Website is fantastic, and we put a link up to the website as well. But if you can explain to us what Wigwam is and how it came about.
Yes, I will, Alan. Thanks. And by the way, I was just thinking of your 10 years to become an overnight success. I think you've done it in half the time that most people do. It usually takes most people 20 years to become an overnight success. But anyway, come here. Yeah, look, the business failed. I wrote the book called Feeding Johnny, How to Build a Business Despite the Roadblocks. And if your listeners would like the audio version for free, I'll put the link in there into the chat, if that's okay, Alan.
Yeah.
But look, I wrote the book. Now, I didn't write it originally as a business book. It turned into a business book. I wrote it as a bucket list thing. I was turning 50 back in 2013. Show my age here. Turning 50 in 2013, and I decided, a friend of mine, his partner was running a book writing course in Limerick, and I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll treat myself. So I went on this half day or day course, and 7 months later, I had the manuscript for Feeding Johnny. And what was really interesting was when it got published, it got published in 2015 by Liberty's Press. People began to read it, other than my mother, right? Other people actually stumbled across it and read it. And then they started making contact with me and saying, do you see what you went through here in chapter 4 or chapter 7 or whatever? I'm going through that in my business. Will you walk me through it? So I became genuinely a bit of a reluctant business coach, right? And the reason I say a reluctant business coach, Alan, is because a book that transformed my way of thinking that I read many years ago while I was still working for Beauties was The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. And in it, Kiyosaki talks about the 4 players in the world of business. There's the employee, the self-employed or small business owner, the business owner, and the investor. And I realized I was an employee, and an employee and a self-employed individual will trade their time for money. Employee works for an hour, gets paid for an hour, or earns a salary, whatever it might be, but must turn up to earn same. Self-employed individual often is the same, whether it's a self-employed consultant, a GP, a window cleaner, might get paid a higher rate per job, but must turn up to do the job to get paid. And so we trade time for money. Employees and self-employed trade time for money. And I was just fed up trading time for money. So I decided I had no money. So becoming an investor wasn't going to be it, right? So I thought to myself, what's left? Business owner. I learned the skills of becoming a business owner. And being a business owner is about building a system around what you do so that other people can carry it on. And I've learned there are 3 things you need for a sustainable business. You need a good brand, you need great systems, and you need wonderful people. Good brand, great systems, wonderful people. Good brand. A brand is a promise. Beauty's Cafe on Grafton Street, that brand is a promise. You can smell the coffee. You can feel the ambience. You can see and hear the coal fire, right? You know what I'm talking about. You take two hotel chains. You take the Intercontinental in Ballsbridge and Travelodge, both hotels, both got different brand promises. And we measure our satisfaction levels in each of those brands when we visit, let's say, based on the brand promise. We expect more from Intercontinental than we might from Travelodge. We go to Travelodge for very different reasons, right? But they either deliver or they don't deliver on their brand promise. And that's where systems come in, Alan. We need systems so that the people who deliver on our, hey, David Brown, good to see you. We need systems to help the people that we attract into our businesses deliver on the brand promise consistently. And that's where the wonderful people come in, because you need wonderful people who buy into what it is you do or I do, and they deliver. Does that make sense? And they're happy to be part of it and happy to implement the systems 24/7. And so Wigwam came from all of that. That was a long-winded answer, but I felt I needed to explain it. So what I realized when I started, and that's why I said I was a reluctant coach, all of a sudden I found myself self-employed. I had spent years building a business, which is Carambola, right, which works without me. And all of a sudden I'm over here trading my time for money. And so I wasn't particularly satisfied with that. I don't think I'm also a really good coach, to be honest. You know, I'm not the world's best coach. I also don't want to be the world's best coach. But I love business. And I always say I love business and I hate work, right? So building a business I love, and I work lots of hours and have done and still do to build systems around a business that will continue to run. That's very different from, you know, getting up and repeating the same job day in, day out for the rest of my life. And so Wigwam is the derivative of that journey. Wigwam is the latest, where we've built a system, a brand, Wigwam. Wigwam is an acronym for Wonderfully Important Goals Weekly Accountability Meeting.
Oh, wow.
Wonderfully Important Goals Weekly Accountability Meeting. That's what Wigwam stands for. It does exactly what it says in the tin. We bring people in to a program for 10 weeks, bring them through a very gentle journey for themselves, founded on the principle your business or your career can never outgrow you. So you need to work on you. And if you work on you successfully, well, then you'll become better professionally and your business opportunities will follow in behind you. So we've done all that, but we've specifically built it as a franchise. We're looking to partner with people to take the Wigwam brand and the Wigwam systems, the Wigwam programs out to the wider world. And we'd like to bring 1 million people through Wigwam in the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's incredible. I love the whole concept and the whole idea of it, because I do think it's so important. And as you say, you know, branding, the whole piece, they're all parts of the jigsaw, and with that, I think it's so important that we focus on each part of it, because I think there's a lot of people that sort of go into this and say, okay, I'm going to have this great brand and this is what it's going to do. And that's as far as they go. They don't put structure around it. They don't understand that they sort of have this pipe dream. But whereas, as you say, you love business, and by loving business, you are giving so much information, so much great value to people, because one, you've been there and you continue to be in the business community, but also I think is there's so much value because we learn from each other. And you know, I often do when I would have on a number of courses, I learn from even the students that come to me, and I take their side of it, and I understand their angle that they're coming from, and it helps me learn as well. So I think, you know, and I was only on another meeting the other day, and I actually said, you know, every day is a school day and we are learning constantly, and I think that's so important, and it's really part of what we do. We should nurture all of, and you know, soak up that information as much as anything else.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I think it is, as you say, every day is a school day. I mean, we had a Wigwam group this morning at 6:30, and we learned some stuff. One of the great things about doing group work, by the way, so it's Wigwam Mastermind Coaching. We bring 6, 7, 8, 9 people together and bring them through a program. So it's not one-on-one, and there's wonderful richness comes from the hive mind. You know, somebody brings an idea to Wigwam, or even a problem to Wigwam, and it's not upon me necessarily to be the resident expert in the room, which is what I felt when I was a one-on-one coach, right? So you bring it to the wigwam and we say, well, who's got to contribute to that? And an answer oftentimes will bubble to the top through conversation. So, I find group work is wonderful from that perspective. But we tweak the program constantly based on feedback. The program that we're delivering, the wigwam we're delivering today, we've got 5 wigwams running each week at the moment. We'll have 7 running concurrently in February, and each one of them informs the next one. So we change the order of the weeks. We change some of the nuances in the messaging.
Yeah,
and that's just the way it is,
Brilliant, great. It really is, right? So I suppose we did sort of title the show as I suppose tips and advice, and I think you're giving some fantastic advice. What would be the big tips that you would say for, I suppose, for people, I suppose, who maybe are just not so much starting out, but in their business and trying to develop it and bring it to the next stage? What would be some of the advice or tips that you would give them?
Okay, I suppose it's a difficult one to know where to start, really. But I first of all, go back to what I said about wigwam. Your business can never outgrow you. If your business is stagnant at the moment, you need to look in the mirror. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but if your business is stagnant at the moment, and this is independent of COVID, and I'm taking account of COVID, because if your business is stagnant in COVID, our school lunch business fell off a cliff, as did most of the world. But what did I do? I got stuck into building wigwam. So, just because you've been in X industry all your life and it has been shut down by COVID, well, then do something else. Professionals never lose. Don't be sitting at home, sucking your thumb, going to mammy saying, oh, it's unfair. Life's unfair. So your business can never outgrow you. So the very first thing I recommend people do is they need to begin to work on themselves. And I use a 10 a day proposal. I've been reading business and personal development books for 30 years now. And that's why I've grown, right? And the way to do that, and I say it at the start of Feeding Johnny, is 10 a day, my 10 a day formula. Read for 10 minutes or 10 pages a day, whether you want to or not, right? In a book that will stretch your thinking. And if you do that over a period of years, you will grow. And if you grow, your business will grow. Can't but. But if you don't grow, your business cannot grow. It's not possible. I'll tell a quick story, if I may. I remember doing an after-dinner speech for a group years ago, and at the time, insomnia, and your listeners will know insomnia, and Bobby Kerr. We mentioned Bobby earlier. Bobby's a friend of mine, and he was my boss at one stage. And Bobby's business in insomnia was doing about 30 million euro a year at the time, and Carambola, my business, was doing about 8 million at the time. And to illustrate this point, I said this to an after dinner group. I said, Bobby's business is 30 million and mine is 8. If Bobby came to me tomorrow and said, look, we worked together for years, you're a good guy, I want to take a step back, will you take over insomnia and run it for me? And I told the audience, I will very quickly and very successfully bring his 30 million back to 8 million. Right? Because I had only grown to the point of being able to put together an 8 million euro business. So your business can never outgrow you, folks. So read books. You'll never build a business by accident. You won't go from being a solopreneur to having a staff of 120 people by accident. That just does not happen. That's a decision. Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, I recommend you all read that. 2 books, actually. He wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was his first one. And the follow-on, Rich Dad, Poor Dad 2, or The Cash Flow Quadrant. Yeah, they're the books that changed my thinking, and then I implemented it. Then you got to get stuck in and do it all.
Yeah, and that's a very valid point. As I know, excuse me, I've read so many books, and I go, oh yeah, that's great, and whatever, and I'll put them on the shelf, and I say, yes, there, I've marked that off the list, and I've read that book, and this is going back a number of years ago when we would do that, and it was only I suppose about 3-4 years ago, I took back certain books down and I started to read them again. But this time, because I was a bit more, I suppose, business savvy and stuff like that, that I started, okay, I see what they're doing here and I understand the process that they're breaking down. Not necessarily what what guy or your man Kawasaki does is what I'm going to do, but the principle of what he does is what you take from it. And I think that's what I did with a lot of the stuff that I had read over the last number of years, like the Dale Carnegie books and stuff like that, and how to close deals and how to negotiate, how to learn, how to understand what business is. And I think if we take what's in the book and then develop it for our own sense, that we then understand, that we say, yes, it is. And I think it's, when they write these books, they're not just writing them for the fun of it, they're writing it for a reason, and you're buying them for a reason to learn. So start implementing them. And I think that's a key important part of everything that we should do within business, because we're all, as I said, we're always learning, but it's also, it's so valuable, because if you can pick up a nugget of information, I think it's great, and it's going to enhance your business. And I think you have to move your business on if you want to succeed. Like I'm currently looking at a new venture, and we're starting to expand out with the Compass Media brand and stuff like that. And it's exciting, but it was never going to happen if I just sat on my own and kept doing my thing. I needed to start collaborating. I needed to start in developing the business and bringing it to the next level. And I've learned so much as well about the people that I'm working with and what they're bringing to the table. So there's a huge amount in collaborations, I suppose, as well. So that was my long-winded answer, I suppose, to yours one out there. So
no, but it's so true. It's so valid. And there's another challenge in this, Alan. What's your man who set up Action Coach? Can you remember his name? I think he's an Australian guy.
Oh, I can't remember. I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, right. But so remember, he spoke at Pendulum Summit there a couple of years ago in Dublin. And he said, bringing your business to the next level is boring. Nobody gets excited about bringing their business to the next level. He says you want to 30x your business. That's exciting. You set a goal to 30x your business. All of a sudden, you're not talking about, am I going to find a new client? You're talking about, am I going to find a new city to move my business to? Yeah. Right? And if you go back to what I said, I stated a few moments ago that we're going to bring 1 million people through Wigwam in the next 10 years, right? Wigwam is less than 18 months old, and we've brought 53 people through it, wow. Right? So next level for me, if you think of it, should be 57 people, or maybe 100, right? And I'm sitting here saying, that's boring. We'll do that anyway.
Yeah.
Let's go for 1 million. And then all of a sudden we're looking at, is it franchising? Is it licensing? How can we bring it to Australia? How can we bring it to Northern Ireland? How can we bring it to Kazakhstan? How can we bring it to South America, South Africa, India? Here's a great market.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. So we need to big our thinking up.
Yeah. Think big and dream, as they say, dream big and think big. And I think that's the essence of what we're talking about here today is. And I suppose as well, it's the other side of that is don't be afraid to dip your toe in the water and start doing these things, because if you don't try them, you know what I mean? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen? You learn from it. I always say, for every negative, there has to be a positive. And the positive is that you learn something, even if it doesn't succeed. If it succeeds, and we wish you every success. But I think at the end of the day, we also learn from what we've done over the past, and we just build on that. So it's brilliant. Colm, how can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
Can I just give 2 more tips before I do that very quickly?
Yeah, of course.
So there are 2 Gretzkyisms that I've been using for years. Wayne Gretzky, Hall of Famer, ice hockey player from Canada. And of course, you don't become, hey, BB, good to see you. You don't become a Hall of Famer in anything without being top of your game. So Wayne Gretzky was top of his game. And so 2 Gretzkyisms he uses that I've adopted. Number 1 is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So going back to what you said there, Alan, if somebody's got an idea and they are thinking, should I, shouldn't I? If you decide to do nothing with that, let's just accept now you know what the outcome will be. Nothing, right? Here's the question. If you take a shot and try it, what could happen? We don't know. We don't know. It might work, it might not work. It might lead to something else, right? But it might not work. Okay. But if you don't take a shot, it's an absolute given. You will miss 100% shots you don't take. So if you've got an idea bubbling in your head, take a step, see where it leads. And then the other one, which is ideal for COVID. Hey, Seamus, the other one that's ideal for COVID times is skate to where the puck is going to be. That was a Gretzkyism. He learned to look at your form. Let's say he was playing against you in ice hockey. He'd figure out where Alan was, what his form was. And every time Alan got the puck, he'd skite it off to his right. Gretzky would let you do all the running, and he'd simply position himself to take your puck when it arrived to him. And the reason we can bring that into business is we've got to ask ourselves, where's the marketplace likely to be in a few years? And then position ourselves to take advantage of that. Yeah, rather than chasing the puck. Yeah. Rookies chase the puck. Professionals need to position themselves. Where's the puck going to be? And skate there. And we have a big opportunity in COVID to consider a world post-COVID. What's it going to look like? And how can we position ourselves for that post-COVID world? We don't have a crystal ball, but we can get ourselves ready. We can start reading books. We can start listening to podcasts. We can start networking. Huge one. And see where it all leads. Anyway, that's it. That's enough.
There's a great comment here. I don't know who it is because they haven't subscribed to the StreamYard, so that's why we can't see the names. But a great thing. It says here, there is no first draft worse than a blank page. Neil Gann, brilliant, really is very good. And just quickly, a quick question there from David Brown. I've been guilty of trying to do everything myself for my business. What tips would you give for outsourcing or delegating?
Can I answer that one?
Yes, of course you can.
David Brown, of course, is the Impress guy. You need to check him out. And but look, it is. What tips do I give for delegating or outsourcing? In simple terms, do it. Let go. I was a perfectionist, nearly killed me. I was doing everything myself because nobody could do it better than me, right? And that's the problem. So you got to be willing to accept that other people will make mistakes. Other people won't necessarily do it the way you would have done it yourself. But if you want to hold on to it all yourself, grand, but you'll keep your business small. If you let go, you're going to make mistakes too. And you're going to get, if you allow somebody to do a job for you, you need to be prepared to take it in the neck for the job they did bad, right, on your behalf. But for me, and this is why I go back to what I said earlier, you don't build a business by accident. You decide to do that because that involves letting go. It involves letting other people take a piece of the pie and do their best to deliver upon it. And then if they get it wrong, it's still your fault, right? But you have to be willing to step out and embrace that reality if you're going to build a business beyond yourself. Otherwise, do it all yourself, which I don't recommend.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thanks so much for that. Hopefully, David, that gives you a little bit more insight and helps you. Yes, so my thanks to David Brown for jumping in. Also for Jason Cooper is in as well, and our good friend BB Baskin as well here, and Seamus from the Sec Capital. We won't say more. There's a joke there. There's a joke there. He'd be laughing now to himself. But and also we say hello to Wendy Stunt, who is a phenomenal marketeer, and she only launched her new show. Was it only yesterday? And I had the privilege of being one of the first guests. So yes, it's she has a brand new show out as well. So and she's going to all entrepreneurs as well across the world. So great stuff. Thanks for that, Wendy, for joining us as well today. Colm, if people want to reach out and connect with you, how can they get in contact?
I think the easiest is search Colm O'Brien Motivation on the web, and it'll bring you to YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So search Colm O'Brien Motivation on the web, and you'll find your favorite platform, or in your favorite platform. Search Colm O'Brien Motivation, and it's all there.
Yeah, and of course, and also you can visit the website wig-wam.ie for more details on that fabulous piece as well. And also he's on Twitter and across all the social networks. So do reach out and connect with Colm and let him know that you've seen him here on the In Conversation with Alan. Colm, it has been an absolute pleasure as always talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing so much fantastic advice. It's been an absolute pleasure to sit and chat with you today. So thank you, and we wish you continued success in the future.
And right back at you, Alan, and indeed to all of the people that have joined us today and on replay. Look, go out there and make it happen, guys. Life is short. One round of the clock here, lads. 81 patchwork quilts. I did a blog on that. Check that out. ColmO'BrienMotivation.com/quilts. And it's an interesting one on the brevity of life.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Okay. Well, as I said, thanks so much for jumping on, and we shall talk to you soon. So talk to you soon. Bye. So, guys, thanks so much for joining us today on the In Conversation. It is always a pleasure to have your company, and thanks so much for all your comments and all of your questions as well. Next week, we have the wonderful Sue Carty is going to be our guest, and just to let you know that Sue is an absolute fabulous person. I met her a couple of months back, and she is a speaker and consultant, coaching expert, and she's also a council member for the World Rugby as well. So really looking forward to having her on the show next week. Until next week, don't forget, if you do want to reach out and connect with me, please do so. All you have to do is pop onto the Compass Media website at compassmedia.ie, or reach out and connect with me across all the social platforms, and let me know you have been watching here. So until next week at the same time, have a great week and stay safe, and we shall talk to you soon. All the best. Bye-bye.